An Allosaurus head is quite elongated and kind of narrow. It's almost a little bit like, think of like a Velociraptor in the length and narrowness. So what we'll do is we'll have like, do what we always do. I'm using the skeleton skull reference image to work from. So what I'm doing is I'm drawing a bit of a line here. I'm going to have its mouth kind of open. So we'll do a bit of a I'm trying to think of the best way to describe these different shapes, because, you know, really I should be like doing a well, I suppose we could do like a bit of an oval, a very long outstretched oval there, and a bit of a square here, bit of a square there, I guess you could call that. A sort of a curved square, and around here, it's going to be, I guess you'd put a circle around here. I don't usually do like shape building, but it could actually work out for this one. So we've got a circle there. That's going to be for the nose ridge plate thing. This square line actually is a pretty good line to have for the construction of the Allosaurus. I'd say you'd put a little bit of a circle around here. That'd be for the eye socket. And then draw down a line there. I did read a comment of someone saying that I shouldn't draw the eye sockets and that because it makes the eyes look sunk in. I agree with you for the most part. It's just some of these dinosaurs, I think I prefer them with the ridge, just kind of how I prefer to draw them. But sometimes it's better to have it all, like, you know, without the sunk in aspect. But anyway, in the skull of the Allosaurus, it seems to have a hole like here, but it's kind of got, that's probably the dividing sector. There's actually a bit of a shape more like here for its nose. For its kind of nasal passage snout, and I always draw these bits because I find they come in handy later on down the track. There's a bit of a shape here in the skull which works as the nostril, and the lower jaw looks a little bit like a Tyrannosaurus. It's like a Tyrannosaurus but much narrower, narrower that way, if that makes sense. So we'll do the lower jaw. Think of that part as a bit of a square that kind of then tapers out, not as much though, and that part of the jaw seems to be quite flat. And then it goes out to about here, and then you give it a bit of a curved line around here. So we've got the basics here now. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start building and refining the shape of the skull. So we've got a basics. To be honest, that shape doesn't really work there. All that area kind of looks like it's moved forward. So I'm just going to erase some of these lines. It seems the eye socket is kind of around here. So again, you imagine it's a bit of a circle shape, and it goes down here. You'll have seen, well, I've got the Carnotaurus video up now with the Carnotaurus head, so it's a bit like that, but not as weird of a shape. It's just basically a circle. It's basically like a little circle here, a big circle here, and then lines connecting those two circles together, and that's how you would get your shape. So you got that. There's a bit of a shape here that goes kind of like a curve here. Gotta stop saying kind of all the time, but around here, I could imagine there'd be a circular shape in the skull, and it kind of I'm just gonna say kind of, so just deal with that. Hopefully, there's a bit of a shape there, and it kind of curves around like that. Maybe I'll just try and stop saying kind of and just try and stick to just saying the descriptions. We'll see how it goes. This is me trying to learn to present a bit better as a teacher of sorts. Now, Around here, we have a circle shape. So hard not to say kind of. That shape will then go down there. This will be there's a bit of a brow ridge kind of shape. So it's a bit circular, and it kind of stops around there. And that's also where the snout shape is. And up around here, the skull looks like it is shaped like so. Or is it? It's kind of more like that. And then moves around to about here. Moves to about there. Nope, it's more of a solid shape, to be honest. So it's more like that. Then goes around to the back of the jaw. And then we'll refine this part of the jaw by doing keeping it more or less to a straight line, and then curving like that. So that seems to be going okay. Now around here, too narrow. It seems that its skull shape is more like this. It kind of curves in like so. Bit of a rounded oval shape if you think of it, like if you can see it around here, it's a bit of an oval shape. I'll erase some of this line. I'm going to keep the nasal passage line for the most part for now. But yeah, like it's more or less a sort of a curved, narrow, elongated nasal passage. So that's not too bad. We'll give it a bit of a curve there. Around here it seems to be a bit of a straight line that slightly curves down to around here. I'm visually trying to make sure I'm getting the shape of it right, because Allosaurus has a fairly iconic shape, depending on how long you've been into dinosaurs for. For me, I kind of learned about Allosaurus after I discovered Tyrannosaurus, so maybe because Tyrannosaurus is my first dinosaur I learned about, is the reason why I love Tyrannosaurus so much. I've also noticed that different artists, sometimes they'll have the nose ridge of, because there's a very specific bone ridge here. Some artists have the ridge going down here, which is all well and good, but it looks like to me that there's a ridge in the skull that goes like this. So imagine that as just these lines that go up to the nose ridge, and I guess depending on how you want to draw it, I like drawing it like this, because this is how it looks like shape-wise in the skull, and then it kind of finishes around there. So think of it as a sort of a tapering, wiggly river of sorts. That might be a good way of explaining it. So your line gets thicker up here. Think of this as one non-colored in line. So you got thick there, then it tapers smaller and smaller to about there. I think that's probably the best way to explain it. In the skull itself, it looks like it actually is all around here. That there's like a hole in the skull there. And there's a bit of a gap there. So depending on how you feel like drawing it, there's a few ways you can draw Allosaurus, really. Unless we actually ever see skin on an Allosaurus, it's basically up to our own artistic interpretation. But I think around here we can make it either a one whole ridge as one whole bump and then erasing that hole. So it'd be like, I don't know if you can kind of see that. Or leaving the hole, and how I prefer drawing the Allosaurus to a degree is kind of focusing on there being a shape there, and this being a bit of a, I don't know how to explain it. It's hard to explain verbally a three-dimensional aspect sometimes, but we'll just work with it. This area here seems to be quite prominent in the skull, so I'm going to keep that prominent in my drawing. So I'm visualizing where I think skin and muscles would kind of fold over the skull. So around here there'd be like a passage, there'd be like a thing that kind of goes over the snout. And around here we have a very long nostril hole, so I don't know whether the Allosaurus would have a very big nostril, like so, or if it'd have a small nostril. It could have either, but I'm going to do it that way. The teeth look to be kind of like a T-Rex. Not as huge, but kind of like a T-Rex. So I'm going to draw, say, 3 close knit together teeth here. Draw them so you can see this, the curved line. I'm pretty sure most people would be pretty good at drawing at least the teeth side of things, hopefully. If not, think of it as an upside down shark fin. That's probably the best way to explain it. There's another tooth here. I'm using a skull photo reference, so I'm doing the teeth kind of that scattered. So I'll do another tooth there. So I'll do another tooth around here. Because they seem to be scattered and such, I'm going by what it looks like on the skull, so I'm drawing some... They seem to be very sparse, I think is the right term. So there's going to be like 2 little ones here. I think they're from the other side of the skull, and there's one there. And judging by the fact that it has a tooth bone there, that would also mean that it doesn't have much of a membrane. So I'm going to draw the membrane between the mouth and jaw around there. Okay, so we'll refine out that part of the jaw. Keep the angle curved. Don't worry too much about doing it too sharp or curved or whatever. And keep that line straight. And the whole jaw itself, other than around here, the whole jaw itself seems to be pretty straight. Then we bring that jaw down to about here. It's all pretty straight, just a slight curve to about there. And then just refining this shape. And I will be recording another video for this one because I want to do some scales and render this one. I'll probably be doing that in pen, so that will be another video. That won't be hugely tutorialed because I have done quite a few now of me drawing scales and doing videos on how I explain doing the scales, but I can at least explain a few little bits and pieces. But you know, it's kind of hard to do the exact same tutorial on how to draw scales multiple times, so there are videos that are more extended. You'll be able to see by the playlist, by the length. Some of my videos go for like 20 minutes, some of them go for 40 minutes. It just, you know, depends on how much I can think about sharing at a particular time. So we're going to do the lower teeth, and do a spiky teeth, another tooth there. Seems to be like, for this particular skull, there's like, oh, interesting. It actually seems like the teeth on this lower jaw are echoed on the other side of the jaw. So do them uneven. So some of them are a little bit longer, some of them a little bit shorter. Kind of like up here, some of them a little bit longer, some of them a little bit shorter. Some of them are very tiny, some of them are quite long. I don't know whether when Allosaurus and all those other dinosaurs were alive, whether they would have had uneven, scattered teeth, or if their teeth would have been like, at one set edge, and it's just the deterioration of their skulls over time that made their teeth random in their length. But I'm just theorizing, and I guess that's what scientists do. They theorize, but I've got less evidence to work from, so I'm just basically imagining what I think would be happening. But yeah, basically, the Allosaurus and the Tyrannosaurus look to be fairly similarly related. Allosaurus is a lot smaller, but it's one of those dinosaurs that I also fell in love with, so that's why I decided to draw it. I will be doing other dinosaurs that you guys have been suggesting. Like I said at the start of this video, thank you for the suggestions, keep them up. I might not respond straight away. I might not be able to draw them straight away. It could take weeks, it could take months, like Taurus, I think Mosasaurus took probably about a month for me to get to, but I did get there in the end, so, have patience and I will get to it eventually. So, as long as you can have patience, I will try my best to get to your things, your suggestions. So that is the whole point of subscribing, really, so you can see what will come in the future. And hopefully you guys want to stick around long term, because I'm going to be doing this channel long term, as I mentioned. So I'm just basically putting a few tiny little teeth in among there, just to make it look like they're in the sort of the distance, I guess. I'm going to do a little bit of the inside of the mouth, actually, and have a bit of a echoing that line around here, but bringing the lower part of the jaw to about there, and echoing some of the teeth patterns as well, just to add a little bit of depth, just to make it look a little bit 3D. Now I probably should also draw a bit of the neckline as well in this, because I know some of you have been very happy about me adding a little bit of the neck to the Carnotaurus to help you out in your drawings, so that's why it's better than having a floating head, I'd say. So, yeah. I'm gonna leave this ridge as it is for now. I'm gonna be refining that in my next video. Well, it might not be the next video in this playlist, but after I've recorded this one, I'm going to record the drawing of the scales and that. But for now, I'm keeping it simple, unlike the Carnotaurus where I went straight to the rendering. So we're just going to refine that part. I'm keeping these lines here light, so we kind of know that they're lines. I'll figure out how to explain some of these at some point. I might make this ridge a little bit sharper, actually. So just make it a little bit more pronounced. And I think there's I'll add another line there to mirror it, because around here we've got slightly three-dimensional. So here we'll just echo the line. I wouldn't say mirror, echoing it. So it's duplicating that line to make it look like it's slightly 3D. You don't have it too far out. Having it fairly close to that line makes it look like that the head is not like that, but slightly like that, if that makes any sense. So I probably should draw an eye now. The eye would probably be, the eyeball would probably be like that. And then I suppose the eye would probably be, the pupil would be kind of like there, because it's looking that way, but this way. And then we'll draw the eye lid around there. Generally, I don't do the eyeball first. I generally go straight to the eye drawing. And I will probably change this eye down the track in the next video, but I just wanted to kind of teach you guys an easy way to think about how to draw eyes. Here's a line, duplicating that line, sort of, to make it look like an eyelid, and another one like there. I'm sure dinosaurs possibly blinked, who knows, but oh, I'm noticing my hand is getting very jerky, so I'm hoping that's not showing up in the video. If it's getting kind of jerky, I really apologize, but hopefully you can follow along. If it's not jerky in the final video, disregard what I'm talking about. I'm gonna have to load up some things now, so I think actually what I'm gonna do, I've taught you an idea of how to draw this eye, but I'm gonna erase it because I don't like it. I want it to look more like how I see it in the skull. So I'm just gonna erase that. I have a feeling the eye would be a little bit smaller than that. So I'm gonna draw it kind of more like that. A little bit, a fair bit smaller. And kind of facing out that way, and then having some of those lines. And I think having it smaller is a better idea. Don't even know if it would have had a tear duct. I wonder if dinosaurs would have had tear ducts. Possibly, I guess. And I'm not going to give it a reptilian eye. I'm going to give it more of a rounded eye, like the Tyrannosaurus in Jurassic Park. Interesting little fact. I'm just going to go on a quick little tangent. Hopefully this won't take too long. But the eye pupils, if you notice in Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, and The Lost World, the Velociraptor has slits for eyes, for pupils. In Jurassic Park 3, it has circles like this for the most part, from what I noticed, which is just an interesting little thing I noticed in the eye pupil. They changed the eyes quite a bit in that regard, and then they went back to slits. Not the biggest thing in the world, but I thought I'd just share that. So I think that's probably good enough. Now, the more I look at it, the more I'm noticing that I think the Allosaurus actually has more of a line up here. Its snout kind of goes more up here. So I'm just refining that line. And that actually looks a bit better right off the bat, so I'll just erase that line. That's a good thing about drawing with pencils and sketching in. Like, if it doesn't look quite right, you just erase a line and just try it again. It gets to a point where it's a bit like, sculpting clay or something. You just shape it out to make it look a little bit more like how you reckon it should look. And now I'm just going to do a bit of a neckline, just to give it a bit of, it seems like Allosaurus actually has quite a long neck. I'm not going to be doing the whole neck here, as you can tell, because I don't have enough room. But I'm just going to give it a bit of a neckline. Again, I'm probably going to change the eye a bit down the track. We'll see in the next video. The next video is going to be time-lapse for the most part, and then just, showing what I can show. I'm going to put in some spiky dermal scales, or not scales, spikes, I guess, along the back of its neck. It seems to have a bit of a lumpy ridge shape up there. Almost a bit like Tyrannosaurus, really, from Jurassic Park. Seems to have a neck curve that goes up like that. Then I'm going to just have like some nothing too major, just like subtle lumps, kind of like how Triceratops had a few little spiky lumps like this going along its back in Jurassic Park. Only subtle, nothing too major. Maybe make them a bit more circular along there. Gonna have a bit of a vein coming out of its neck, just to give it a bit of a, lifeness. I don't know if that's the term. And then I'm just going to add some little wonky lines that, trust me, around here, they do not have to be brilliant. Wrinkles, for the most part, are organic. They don't have to be strategically placed and lined. If they're wonky, that's fine. Go for it. And I'm just going to give it some very loose, rough lines here, just to give it a bit of a, gives the indication that there's a bit of a shape there. And maybe I'll just do some quick little light lines here that roughly indicate that, hey, there's going to be scales here soon. So just roughly do that. You don't have to do that in your drawings. You can if you want. You can go even further. You can have your drawings quite different to this if you want. I'm just basically giving you guys a bit of a guideline to start off with. But I think that's a good start for this dinosaur now. For some of you, this is a good finish to the drawing. But I'm going to take this to the next level now, as I always do. Well, as I usually always do. If you like this video, if you found this tutorial to be an improvement on some of my other tutorials, give it a thumbs up. If you've learnt something, awesome. If you want to see more in the future, if you want to have it, and just before, I'm just going to shape this part, just because that kind of looks like it needs to be slightly shaped. Sorry about that. There we go. That's a bit better. It looks like it's got an angular shape to the end of the skull. Just kind of notice that last minute, and that would have bugged me otherwise. So there you go. If you learnt something, give it a thumbs up, comment on what you thought. Always happy for more suggestions. It will take me a while to get to them, but I am always open to suggestions on what to draw in the future. I'm actually going to be doing some dragons soon as well. But yeah, subscribe to make sure that you're kept in the loop of what other drawing tutorials I come out with. And yeah, I will see you next time. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you later. Cheerio.